Guess the decade? Fluorescent lights, cracked jewel cases clicking in a wire rack, a clerk with a box cutter, waiting for 12:01 a.m. By the end of the night, the answer is Tower Records on release Tuesday, when buying music feels like catching a train before the doors shut. Act 1. Setup. The clock matters because the store sits inside a very specific machine. In the 1990s, before streaming and before iTunes, a hit album lands as a physical object. You hear the single on MTV, on Top 40 radio, in a mall food court, and then you go buy it. The ritual peaks in cities that stay awake late enough to make it feel natural. Tower Records started in Sacramento under Russ Solomon, then spread to Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles, to Lincoln Center in New York, to Piccadilly in London, with stores big enough to feel like terminals. Now the stakes. If you are a fan in 1995 or 1999, release day solves a social problem. You want the album before school, before work, before somebody else quotes a lyric you haven't heard yet. First listen still carries status. Possession carries proof. Tower understands that. The yellow and red signage, the listening stations, the import bins, the staff recommendations written by hand. The store sells access and timing as much as music. For a second, a compact disc in shrink wrap feels like fresh news with a barcode. Act 2. Rise. The spread begins with standardization. In 1991, Nielsen SoundScan changes chart reporting by counting actual barcode sales instead of looser store surveys. Labels trust Tuesday release dates more heavily. Retailers coordinate inventory. Fans start learning that one weekday now has a pulse. Then chains turn the date into theater. Tower, Virgin Megastore, HMV, Sam Goody. They stack cardboard standees, window clings, and end caps days in advance, but the cartons stay sealed. You can smell corrugated cardboard and fresh ink while the title everybody wants sits 6 feet away. The stores also have an audience. Midnight openings become news hooks. Local TV cameras love a line outside retail glass. A DJ from a station like Z100 or KROQ shows up, hands out promo flats, and suddenly, a purchase becomes a public scene instead of an errand. Peak culture arrives title by title. On November 20th, 2001, Britney Spears' Britney hit stores. On May 15th, 2001, Tool's Lateralis enters the week, with fans hunting strange packaging. On November 23rd, 1999, Dr. Dre's 2001 lands, and midnight buyers want it immediately. You can track the fever in chart numbers. Millennium sells 1,134,000 copies in its first week in 1999. NSYNC's No Strings Attached blows past that in 2000 with 2.4 million. Those giant first weeks train customers to think the opening stretch matters. Hold on to that detail. Inside Tower at midnight, the mechanics are almost comic. Employees pull anti-theft spiders, slice master cartons, slide booklets into long boxes in earlier years, or stack jewel cases later, and shout section names over the store music. Customers already know where rock, rap, or import singles will land. For some albums, stores sweeten the ritual with exclusives. A poster, a sampler, a wristband for an in-store signing. Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard hosts everyone from Prince to Sonic Youth to Elton John over the years, so the chain carries a real aura of proximity. Act 3. Fall or twist. Here is the hidden engine. Midnight Tuesday feels like pure fan energy.
But it is also chart strategy. Street dates help labels concentrate sales into one reporting week. SoundScan counts those scans. Billboard rankings respond. Hype has a cash register underneath it.
That system changes behavior all the way down. Retail clerks guard cartons because breaking street date can trigger label penalties or angry calls from distributors. Fans wait because being early by even a few hours can mean helping an album post a stronger debut. Commerce learns to feel like allegiance, and Tower has a weakness baked into its strengths. The giant stores carry deep catalog, imports, books, magazines, and expensive leases in prime neighborhoods. They feel unbeatable in person. Online shopping does not care about floor space, and digital files do not care about midnight doors. The afterlife starts quietly. Napster appears in 1999. Apple opens the iTunes Music Store in 2003. The ritual of gathering for the object begins to thin out. By the time Tower Records files for bankruptcy in 2004, the fluorescent cathedral already has fewer worshippers. Tower emerges from that first bankruptcy, but cannot outrun debt and market change. In 2006, the company files again, this time heading toward liquidation. The chain that once sold CDs, cassettes, vinyl, magazines, and concert tickets starts selling shelves, fixtures, and neon from the walls. Now, the weird part. Release Tuesday itself eventually moves. In 2015, the global music business shifts most new albums to Friday, under the International Federation of the Phonographic Industry's coordinated schedule. The old Midnight Tuesday loses its official reason, just as the store that dramatized it has already faded. Still, the object survives in pockets. Former Tower locations become pharmacies, clothing stores, or empty boxes. But collectors keep the receipts, promo flats, and staff shirts. On Discogs and eBay,
Sealed first pressings still carry the old urgency in their price tags. If you visit the surviving Tower brand in Japan, you can feel an alternate timeline. Tower Records Japan was spun off before the American collapse, and its Shibuya store remains famous. Bright signage, listening culture, physical media. The ritual never fully dies there. It just changes address.
the memory sticks to smaller details. The silver security sticker on a jewel case, the Tower Pulse magazine by the door, the sharp crack when shrink wrap gives way under a thumbnail. People often recall the line before they recall the album. That detail matters because the store is doing something older than retail optimization. It gives strangers a synchronized first listen. You stand shoulder to shoulder with people who want the same release for completely different reasons. A chart week starts. A tiny temporary public forms around it. And all right, here is the small aha. Midnight at Tower is less about staying open late than about making time visible. The industry chooses a date, the store turns it into a room, and the crowd supplies the proof that a release has actually arrived. Archivists note, the lesson is not that the old way is purer, the lesson sits in the texture. Plastic wrap, fluorescent hum, marker-written shelf talkers. A line held together by a shared deadline. An album enters culture with a door opening and a register drawer snapping shut. Lock that memory in the vault, and I'll see you in the next case. If you stood in one of those midnight lines, what year did you first see this? Drop the year.